Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I've got an incredible panel for you tonight to address sort of the issue of what we're all faced around this time as February starts, because something like 80 or 90% of us make resolutions at the beginning of the year, and then we drop them within the first month. And so we're going to talk with some life coaches and some other smart people about why we have these resolutions, why we have these dreams and desires and goals, and why do we all break them? So I got some really interesting people to introduce you tonight. Christina Sengel is a certified life coach, registered nurse, and a 7-year South African military veteran. She's known for her remarkable talent in uniting people, fostering community, and assisting individuals in enhancing relationships, improving health, and discovering meaning in daily life. Christina, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask everyone else, sort of this top question, if I could. Why do resolutions hold such a powerful magnetism for us all? Why do we all make these resolutions?
I think it's because it's the beginning of the year, it's the time of year. It seems like everybody's talking about the new start. With a new start comes new changes, and everybody wants to do something different. So I've got a feeling it's most of it what towards the end of the year people start talking about. It's like more peers talking about it in the beginning of a year, or beginning of something, beginning of a work, beginning of everything is something that sparks you to want to do a change. And I think that's why people makes New Year's resolutions, because they hear everybody else doing it. Beginning of a new year, why don't we change and start with something new?
Thank you. Laurel Joachimides is a dedicated life mastery consultant. She empowers vibrant women aged 45 to 65 to reclaim their inner strength and design a richer, fuller life after setbacks, offering personalized, vision-driven tools for transformative success. Welcome to the show, Laurel. What do you think? Why do people set all these resolutions at the beginning of the year?
I'm agreeing with Christina also that we set them. They symbolize a fresh start for us, and they have a great psychological cleaning slate for us. So with that, meaning that, we want to have an opportunity to look at the challenges that are in front of us and the mistakes that we've made in the past, and then so we can embark on a new journey. The end of the year also prompts an opportunity for us to reflect on our life and the achievements that we've had and areas of improvement, which naturally leads to us setting goals and resolutions for the upcoming year as we aspire to become better visions of ourselves.
I got to ask you, Laurel, I apologize. Sounds like it's a very thorough process the way you've described it, but I think a lot of people just sort of, this is my 5 resolutions for the year. I wish people went through that big, self-examination near the end of the year to figure out what went wrong and what they wanted to do, and through a very intense desire of what they wanted to do. Do you actually think people do it as definitively as you described, or is it more too often, I want to lose some weight, I want to get more exercise, I'd like to, et cetera, et cetera?
I agree with you, Brian. I think that oftentimes people they do go through the reflective stage with the, what's going on with my life. I do, like for myself, there was a time in my life I fell completely apart. And this year, as a matter of fact, I set a New Year's resolution. And we know that 92% of them, that the fact is that 92% of them end by about January 20th. And so here we are in February 2nd, and I am a life coach, but I am guilty of the same process of giving up. I thought, I'm going to set myself a goal, and I'm going to do 4 miles a day, and I'm just going to do it every single day. And I started off, and then didn't quite make it, so I turned around and came home because I only have an hour. And then the next day it rained, and then the next day it was too hot, and then so yammer, and then all of a sudden I'm a failure. And so I gave up, but we're going to get into that, how I pulled myself out of it.
we will. That'd be great. Our third guest is Paul Nadeau. He is a captivating figure, blending a remarkable history as a former hostage negotiator and an international peacekeeper with his talent as an author and a keynote speaker, all set against a backdrop that seems straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster. Wow. Paul, do you set resolutions, and do they have a powerful magnetism for you too?
No, I don't. I don't set New Year's resolutions, because I believe that resolutions ought to be set when we feel a need to set them. Resolutions, they suggest that there's something that needs to be resolved. And what you said, Brian, and to all the listeners, is that it's true that many people are dismissive. They figure that it's the end of the year, the beginning of a new year, so I'm just going to resolve to do this and this and this because I realize that there's something that I need to enhance in my life, that I need to lose this weight. I need to be more consistent in X, Y, and Z. And the problem is that people don't commit. If they're that fragrant about what they're doing, is that they're not going to commit to it, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I don't set resolutions for myself at the end of the new year. If I resolve to do something, it's because I've noticed that there's something that needs to be enhanced, a self-improvement matter that I want to jump into, and that's when I resolve it. It could be on this date, I could resolve to do something and I will commit to do it.
So it sounds like there's two added issues that you think are critical. One is the resolve that you need to do something, which Laurel sort of talked about in the assessment that she was suggesting people do at the end of the year, but also the commitment that it'll actually happen, which is more than just a resolution. It's a commitment. Sounds like it's a commitment. Our final panelist is Christina White. And Christina comes to us from downtown Toronto. She's a micro-influencer certified in yoga therapeutics and transformational life coaching. And she uses her tools to help others practice self-compassion and empowerment through affirmations and conversations with her fellow life coaches on Instagram called Conscious Diaries K. Christina, welcome to the show. And thank you for setting this all up. So Christina, you said that resolutions have a powerful magnetism. Why do they have a powerful magnetism? I understand that they can be potentially, setting us on the right way, on a right path, setting a goal, doing all those things. But you described it as a powerful magnetism. Why is it a powerful magnetism?
Well, one thing, first of all, thank you for having us here, Brian. One reason is because we're tired of the status quo. The current life we are living is no longer serving us. So, it could be, trying to lose weight, I'm too heavy, or, whatever we're telling ourselves, we're just not happy with it. So as we all know, as long as we're living on this earth, we're constantly evolving. And so unfortunately, our childhood trauma and any type of trauma that we pick up along the way in life anchors us into complacency. So now we're in conflict where, we're telling ourselves, I want to change for the better. But then we realize it takes work to create that change. So you know what? I'm going to go back to my status quo where it feels familiar. I'm not happy where I'm at right now, but it's better because I don't need to do any work to make that change. So there is that powerful magnetism because people do want to change, but it just requires work.
Well, it's that commitment, I guess, that Paul was talking about. The
right.
work that's so
exactly.
critical. This is going to be a really interesting conversation tonight. I think it's good for all of us because probably a lot of us have set resolutions this past month, and probably I think it was Laurel who said that 92% of us have dropped them by the 22nd of January, and so therefore we probably need a little kick in the rear to get back on track. And maybe, as Paul has said, better done when we resolve we got some problems than just do it on December 31st or January the 1st. Stay with us, everyone. We're going to take a 2-minute break for some messages, and we're going to be back with Christina, Paul, Laurel, and the second Christina in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. This is going to be a really interesting evening tonight. We're going to be chatting about resolutions and setting them and getting committed to them and trying to change your life. We've got a great set of panelists tonight. Christina Sengal, she's a certified life coach. She's from South Africa. Laura Jokimides, who is a life mastery consultant working primarily on vibrant women aged 45 to 65. Paul Nadeau, who is a former hostage negotiator and international peacekeeper. And Christina White, she's a micro influencer, yoga therapeutics, and transformational life coach. So people that are in this business trying to help us all lead a better life. So we've chatted a little bit about why we all make resolutions, and Christina particularly was talking about why these resolutions can be such a powerful, play such a powerful role in our life. Are there any historical roots to this? Is this something that we've just started doing recently, or is there some historical root to the desire for fresh starts?
Brian, I'm going to take that call. This is Laurel, and it's a wonderful question. I thought that originally, when we first were looking at the historical portion of it, it would be easy to say that it's not it is a relatively modern phenomenon to do the New Year's resolutions, but it actually dates back to the Babylonian era, I should say. And I was having some fun with my colleagues when we were talking about this topic, telling them that, well, I really think that this started back when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden, and God gave them complete freedom of choice. And he gave them one rule. He said, you have all this time to go to carry out, and but don't pick from the garden, don't pick from the apple of the tree of life. And they did, and so the rest is history. But so I looked up Babylonian to see when it did actually start, and that dates back to 1010 BC. And what they celebrated the New Year during a festive, but the notes that I have is that they celebrated the New Year during a time of the festival Akitu, which typically takes place in mid-March. So the New Year's resolutions, it's different, but it dates way back then, and then it goes into the Roman era, and then it keeps coming forward with the cultural values.
I've always thought that some of the things that we've got from history, whether they be in the Bible or other learned works, holy books, etc., often have a really good reason for being. So what do you think the really good reason was that from Babylonian time, people set resolutions? Laura?
You want me to go back with that one?
Well, you're the one talking about Babylon, so you must be the one that did the research. Why?
Yes, okay.
Why did they even then? What's the really good reason why even from that time people set resolutions?
They had they were making promises to God, to the various gods, and they wanted to repay debt or return borrowed items, and actually look at it in terms of viewing favor with the gods. And today we're looking for favor as well, making our lives better. But they were just looking for favor with gods. And then it moves into the Roman Empire, and it goes on to Julius Caesar and the dates and the times that they did it. But culturally, Brian, I want to add here that creating a vision, if we don't have a vision, and this is, I think we can go back to the Babylonians here, if we don't have a vision, people perish. And that's been studied throughout history and the social sciences, that cultures that don't create a vision for their life or plan for their future perish. And we can see that if we look at it in terms of personal development, it's the same thing. When we create a New Year's resolution or a commit to anything to move our lives, make our lives better, if we fail at them, oftentimes what we start doing is beating ourselves up or creating this imposter syndrome. And then we're dying a slow death internally if we don't move forward or if we accept that. And so for me, the power of creating a vision-driven future is critical. And I think if you look at it in terms of the Babylonians, it was the same thing. They were looking for favor with their
but there's something about this idea of a fresh start too. So it's not just that you're looking for favor; it's that you want a fresh start. And Christina, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do want. I think it's discontent. I think it's longing for something. People got, and I'm sure the Babylonian era, the same thing. It's people that crave for a change. It's like a discontent that they have, something that they don't resonate with, and they don't want to change, they need to change it, so they create a resolution because of something that they want to change in their life. And it's the same thing. So something else that I wanted to tie in with what Laurel was saying is like, if we have regarding the vision, it's the same way. If you have a destination in mind, it's like, you know where you want to go. In order to get there, you have to have a clear path to make it to that goal or that end destination. And I think that's that vision driving people to want to change because something is pushing them to change, whether that's a discontent or a destination in mind, a goal in mind, whether it's clearing debt or changing their physique or things like that. So,
but I think, Paul, you said that there's something about resolving something. So that sort of suggests that it's even more than what Christina's talking about, that you want a fresh start. You actually have to do a bunch of analysis of where you're going wrong right now.
Oh, you're right, Brian. Very true. And, you know, most of our thoughts today, they're not new. These come from great philosophers and thinkers of all time. When we think back to Socrates and Aquinas and all those great minds, they contemplated the quality of life and how we could improve ourselves. And many of the great speakers today, the motivational speakers, they're rehashing things that were brought out many millennials ago by these great thinkers. And some of the thinkers have thought, you know, there needs to be this transformation in us. We need to make these commitments to a better life. And I'm referring a little bit to Socrates, who quoted, he said, an unexamined life is a life not worth living. And
Hold it. Repeat that, please.
Yeah, Socrates once said that an unexamined life is a life not worth living.
Well, that really goes to your comment about, you know, self inspection, you know, taking a look at yourself and resolving what went wrong and what you got to do. A life.
It really does. Yeah. And that's one of the great philosophies of the world is that unless we examine what's not going right in our life, how can we make the improvements? And I think New Year's is a great opportunity to do that. But as I said, it doesn't have to be New Year. It could be any time. But you're absolutely right. To examine what it is that we want to change or how we want to improve, the self-improvement that so many people are into. It starts with the self, and it needs to be a commitment. And this is the problem. Many people don't commit, and that's why they fail.
So let's talk about that. Christina, when we first chatted, you talked about manifesting and that was far stronger than a resolution or a dream or a goal. Can you explain to me what the difference would be between a dream, a goal, a resolution, and manifesting?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? So as Paul said earlier, the word resolution implies that there is a problem that needs to be solved. And words and thoughts carry energy. So so what enters your subconscious mind is that there is already a problem. So that's a resolution. So if you want to manifest something into reality, you first have to create a solid foundation within yourself. Just take the analogy of building a building structure, right? If you don't have a solid foundation, that building is bound to break anytime soon. You create a solid foundation with good quality workmanship, great materials, and everything that makes a good solid foundation in building. It will last. It's bound to last for a long time. And so the same thing with manifesting, let's say, or so instead of saying you're creating a resolution, you're creating an intention. So resolutions are easily broken because you don't have a solid foundation of what you're intending to do, right? So instead of you starting off with, I want to lose weight, back up a little bit. What is your why? Why are you doing this? You really have to feel it. Right. So in order to manifest something, you create a solid foundation, which is, and this goes back to my yoga teacher training, you sit still. Where we're in a world, in a society where we're conditioned to overthink, overwork our minds and overanalyze things. And we don't give our hearts or our gut instinct a chance to speak up. The heart and the mind, or the gut instinct and the mind, have to always align. And if they're not, you're bound to break your resolutions and you won't end up manifesting what you want in life. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I think
there were a couple words there. I think you mentioned vision.
Well, I think what you're saying is that this manifestation that you talked about before is sort of like this resolution that Paul was talking about, is that you've got to go through the process of understanding the why, as you describe. And if you don't understand the why you want to change, I'm overweight, I'm unhealthy, I've got diabetes, whatever it happens to be, the resolution's not going to have as much meaning. And
right. Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you create a solid foundation, and then you identify what your vision is, and then you set your goals. I think one big problem that a lot of people face is that they create a huge goal. So they're confusing the vision with their goal, right? So the vision is the big picture. Where do you see yourself 3 years from now? 5 sensorize it. When I say 5 sensorize it, what does your vision or your dream feel like? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you see? What do you taste? Think of it as if like you're running a movie in your head. You write it down, describe all those senses, and you wake up in the morning, you read it, you go to bed. Before you go to bed, you read it. So you're already manifesting it in your head. And then
it's fascinating. I've heard that athletic coaches sometimes tell people to visualize them doing the perfect vault. Visualize them actually winning. And then I had someone really interesting tell me that the reason why the vaulter will put their hands up above their head before they go and do the vault is because they're already visualizing that they're going to be victorious.
Yes,
and I love that.
Absolutely.
That idea.
Sorry. One last thing, Mary Morrissey, who's a world-renowned coach, says things happen twice. Things always happen twice. Once in your thoughts, and the second in your physical reality. That's it. I'm going to stop talking right now.
So Laurel, you said that 92% of us drop these resolutions by the 22nd of January. Why? Why, with all this that we're talking about, are we such failures at keeping our resolutions?
I would go back to Christina, her statement, and that we don't have a good why for it, the why behind it. If we don't know why we are doing something or what's that motivating factor for us, we're not going to complete it. Oftentimes, I don't want to generalize and say everybody won't, but most of the time we won't. Paul, you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to add something because the why is such a huge component of all successes. Why is it that we do the things that we do? People generally or often, they'll say, my why is that I want to get into better shape. Well, that is a general comment. We have to go under the layers. What exactly do you mean you want to be in better shape? Christina earlier said, well, where do you see yourself in 3 years or 5 years? My why is not only that I want to be in better shape, it's that I want to be able to get out of a chair. I want to be able to lift myself up or to lift my grandchildren up. I want to be able to walk those 4 miles, enjoy my life, eat well. I want to be able to be physically fit enough to live an unassisted life. So your why cannot just be, I want X, Y, and Z. It has to be, yes, but there are layers to that. Let's get deeper into our why. Why do I want to learn this language? Why do I want to lose this weight? Why do I want to go to the gym every day? There are so many layers to the whys, and unless we examine them, we might miss the real big picture. The
So,
pain,
Christine,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that the pain of regret will far outweigh the pain of commitment for the moment. We can't go back in time and say, boy, I wish I would have stuck to that resolution 5 years ago. I wouldn't be in the situation I am today. So the pain of regret will far outweigh the pain of commitment that you put in now. Now is when we ought to be making those commitments and sticking to them.
So in terms of sort of practical solutions, Christina number 2 is saying that it's visualization. Laurel is saying you need to know the why, and Paul is saying that you need to go under the why and really sort of develop the why in greater detail and understand it. Christina number 1, what
Yes.
practical solutions do you have for us setting better resolutions and actually achieving them?
Okay. Paul and Kay already talked about the why. The why being you need to connect your goals to what really matters to you. And again, also in relation to what Paul was saying, is it need to be relevant to what you really want to achieve. And then again, that vision, holding that vision firm in your mind of what you really want to achieve, so you can 5-sensorize it. But a lot of times why people don't continue with it, they make their goals so big, they are staring at a big goal, not understanding that they need to break it down in small achievable goals for themselves. And they expect, we're in a culture of instant gratification. It's like, so just as an example, it might take you 10 years to 2 years to gain, for example, 10 pounds, but then they decide, okay, they really need to change. They don't feel well in their skin. They want to make changes, but they expect to lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks. It's unrealistic. And they lose their momentum. They really they don't want to continue going forward. So they don't allow flexibility also, meaning they are very, very rigid. A lot of times people are so rigid and they don't show grace to themselves. It's like they make this goal, they go for this, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do, for example, I'm not going to eat sweets for the next year, which is already unrealistic. But they say, okay, so, and they don't break it into small achievable goals. They say, okay, let's try for this next month, I'm going to try not to eat dessert, which is fine. It's like they go and then suddenly they mess up and they get so demotivated. They don't want to keep going on. They get so demotivated. They fail already just there in their mind, whereas they should have allowed themselves. It's like a GPS. You have a destination in mind. You by accident took the wrong exit, and the GPS will kindly remind you, just get you back on track. And that's the same thing. It's like you mess up sometimes. It's like we are human beings. It's like we get a curveball thrown to us. It's like we mess up. It's fine. It's like just get back on track. Understand that goals is something that you set because you've got your why, you've got that thing that you really have that goal in mind, that vision that you 5-sensorize, that's something that you really want, and you need to want it big enough to be understanding that it is going to be a dedication. You need to dedicate your time and effort on it.
Christina?
Yes, I love what Christina shared, and I just want to add something to it. When you find yourself, one day you fall back into your old habits, there's one thing I think is very powerful, is that find something that you love to do. Find something that makes you feel alive. For me, it's tennis. Playing tennis makes me feel alive. And tennis for me creates resilience. So when you fail one day, you can easily just get back up and try again. If you don't do anything that you love, if you're just complacent and you're just kind of like doing the same things over and over again every day, it's easy for you to just sit back and fail and go back to status quo. So find something that you love to do.
Well, that's helpful. There's no question.
Create a mantra. Sorry, I almost want to say create a mantra. Just do it, or try again. Isn't there a song, some song that's like try again, and it's like it's something that keeps you warm and keeps you fuzzy, and it's like, and I love what you're saying. It's like play the tennis. It's like, and it's fine. Show grace. We have to be our biggest own fan, and it's like if you want something big enough, you need to do something sometimes out of the ordinary or out of your comfort zone.
Laurel, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm really loving what everybody is sharing here, and I want to go back that the why is a critical element, and this is going to reach, I think, Paul's comment specifically. And we're going to go back to my walking, setting my intention of going for a 4-mile walk every day, and all the problems that I had with it. Now, I used to be a distant walker many years ago, and then just a number of things transpired, and I wasn't able to do that anymore. And so I set my intention for it. And when I fell back a little bit, I have a vascular problem in my legs. And when I went to the vascular physician, he said, you need to walk. You need to have that activity in your body to get that circulation going. Otherwise, my legs will swell up like ridiculousness. And the pain of the swelling is so significant. And I don't want to lose a limb like my father had to. So my why is I want to be strong. I want to keep going. I don't want to take meds. I don't want any surgeries. I don't want anything happening to my body. My why is I want vibrant health. And the only way I'm going to get that is through the walking. And so that's my why. And I will continue walking, and I'm doing that now on a regular basis, even though I fell back. So I had that yammering going on in my mind, and oh, I can't do this. It's hard. It's too hard. I set my goal too high. No, just keep going. Go take a step every day. Even if I don't reach the 4 miles, keep going.
Well, I think this is a theme that's come up from several of you. I think Paul started it when he talked about the resolution, but this idea that you raised about needing to have the why and then really understanding it. I took this course as part of a doctorate in business that I was doing called the Theory of Intentional Change, and it really was this feedback loop of self-inspection, investigation of what's going wrong in my life, what's going right in my life, what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths, and what do I need to change. And really the research found that the biggest reason why people don't reach their goals is because they don't understand where their weaknesses are and what they actually do need to do to change. And so I think that was that was interesting. But then I think Christina raises a really interesting issue in regards to the vision. And one of the practical and I think really interesting suggestions that I got at one point in time to establish that vision is they said, write your own eulogy that you would like said at your funeral. And if what you think someone would say about you is not what you actually are doing today, or what they would say because of what you're doing today, then you know what you got to change if you want to have that eulogy be something you'd be a little bit more proud of. What do you think about what are the ways to set a vision for your future? Other than writing your own eulogy, which is kind of...
Well, who's going to jump in? Because I've got lots to say. The girls here have been doing an amazing job, Brian. You and I'm just floored by what these ladies are doing. I will shut up because they all three of them know that I can go on and on and on. But I'll let them speak first because I've got something to say about that. Christina?
What's your dash? I heard this thing. I'm doing a workshop and somebody said, and I loved it. There's two things. First and foremost, I know the day I lie my head down, I don't want to have any regrets. Now, I hadn't thought of the eulogy. Sorry, the word.
Eulogy.
That one. Yeah. But for me, it is what I'm going to do when I lay my head down. I want to lay my head down knowing I didn't let go. I didn't let go of my dream, the thing that I really want. And that is the thing that has been driving me like crazy. I mean, it's driven me beyond what people has been saying and conditions and things, because I know damn it, the day I lay my head down, I don't want to have any regrets. And I say that because I've worked as a nurse, I've worked with seniors, and I see, and I think Mary mentioned also broken missed dreams. They say the most of the wealth is buried because people with all their beautiful dreams, they didn't go for it. Now that's my thing. The other thing that I did wanted to say, what the hell do you do with your dash? It's like, we know the day we were born, we know the day that we know the day we were born, we don't know the day we're going to die, but in between we've got the dash. We have no control of the day we were born, the day we die, but we have somewhat control about the dash. What are you doing with your dash? And that's one of the things that's been driving me also. And it's like, I'm going to do amazing things with my dash. And if it means I put my vision, which I have on my board, it's like I put that vision and I know exactly what it is and it's very clear. I know exactly what it is. I don't know how I'm going to achieve it, but that's a problem for later. I don't worry about the how. I just know what it is and I visualize that.
My daughter did a vision board once, and it had pictures of all the things that she wanted to achieve in life. And the idea of doing the pictures was that it was a better way of visualizing what she wanted to achieve. Is that a good idea?
I think it's a brilliant
Yes,
idea.
absolutely.
It's vision, because we vision people, we see in pictures. We are visualized people, we see in pictures, and it's a reminder also. I'm creating workshops, and it's like I see, and to this day it's in my office, and I see it, and it's like I love it. I love it. And it just is that push for me to wanna, it's like, yep, that's exactly what. In fact, there's a couple of things I'm going to add on my vision board, but yes, I do believe in the vision board.
This has been a great conversation, but we got to take a break for some messages, and we'll be back in 2 minutes with Christina, Laurel, and Paul, and Brian. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I got a really interesting panel tonight talking about resolutions and how to form them and how to keep sticking to them and how to achieve your vision in life. I've got Christina Singal. She's a certified life coach. I've got Laurel Joachimides, who's a life mastery consultant. I got Paul Nadeau, who's a former hostage negotiator. And I got Christina White, who is a yoga therapeutics and transformational life coach. Before we go on, I just got to ask you guys, if I could, a couple of questions. Christina, number one, Christina Singal, we've been talking a lot about resolutions. And it's described here in your bio that you're known for uniting people and assisting individuals in enhancing relationships. Do people make resolutions about their relationships? Like, I think people make resolutions about dieting and exercise and stuff like that. But do they make resolutions about enhancing their relationships? And if so, what do you do there?
Great question, Brian. Yes. Heck yes, people make resolutions about relationships, whether it's somebody that's in a committed to relationship and they feel like they just it's boring. Their relationship is boring. They want to do something different. They want to go some places with their partner. They want to have a little bit spice in their life, or whether it's a single person that really want to have a friend or somebody that can do life with them. And I work also with seniors, and even to seniors want to have somebody, or the people that I'm working with want to have somebody that can go to church with them, or somebody that will take them or go to the movies. They would love to go to the movies, but they don't want to go on their own. And they want a relationship. They want somebody that they can trust, somebody that they can do life with. Yes, absolutely.
It's interesting because I think people set resolutions in regards to their health and their weight and their diet and maybe their job. But maybe you're saying we should have those kinds of goals and resolutions about strengthening our relationships too.
Absolutely. I see it in a workshop that I'm doing. A lot of people work on relationships. Relationships is a very important thing for people, and especially it depends also on the community. For me, I work with a lot of ladies, with women, and they are social beings. They want a like-minded friend, or they would love to have a partner in their life, and it's the same for us as for the gentlemen. So yeah.
Well, it sure is, Paul. As you may know, there's a study that's come out that says that men in happy relationships last 10 years longer, have 10 years longer life. I'm not sure if the females are shorter or the same or what. I can't remember, but there's some benefit that we guys get out of it. Laurel, in your bio, it said that you empower vibrant women aged 45 to 65 to reclaim their inner strength. Why do women between 45 and 65 need to reclaim their inner strength?
Because I'm the dinosaur in the room. I chose the women 45 to 65 because I've been through it. And this has a lot to do with the relationship as well, that what Christina was talking about. Right around that 45 to 65 age group, we, and I put myself in this category, go through life change on many fronts. And many of us have our empty nest syndrome, or we've got a failed marriage, or we've been divorced, or widowed. Maybe we've been deployed or coming back military, and we just feel that we've lost our tribe. We know that in our deep in our hearts, we're meant for more. Maybe we've lost our job. Let me go there too. We've lost a job, or we're in a job that we hate. We know that we're meant for more. Sometimes we don't feel like we have a voice, which is something that I never felt that I had growing up and even into my older years. And
Hold it.
Yeah.
You never felt you had a voice?
that is true. Yes.
Why did you not feel you had a voice?
Well, this is going back into history here. It started when I was in kindergarten, and I wanted to become a teacher. My vision, my dream as a young child was to become a teacher when I grew up. And I loved my kindergarten teacher. And I felt just as smart as could be. And when I was in the first grade, for a reason that I became unaware of, I don't have many memories of my childhood. I have very few memories of them. They're blocked out. But I had a dunce cap put on me in the first grade and dragged up to the front of the classroom and laughed at and criticized and then put in a low-level reading group. And my dream of becoming a teacher was squashed. And I spent most of my life hiding and being invisible. And so imposter syndrome was a big deal for me. And I've obviously I've been very successful on a number of fronts. So resiliency is really important to me. But I didn't have, I continued progressing in my life. But again, when I reached 65, I had another pitfall, and I went through a training program with a woman about visioning, and vision-driven futuring is what it's called, strategic futuring. And I was helping her be a guinea pig in there. And I realized that at the time that this has such power, the process has such power in it, that I needed to become a certified life coach in it. And so that's what I've done. But I went through a number of trainings and meditations. Christina, sorry, Christina and I did a lot with meditation. I mean, not together, but I connect with her on that front. But I was taken through a process of just going into my childhood. And that's when I discovered where I lost my voice. And I still get lost in thought or are fearful of speaking. And when I do, my throat constricts. And I know that there are many others out there that have that issue. And because I've been through it and know what it means, I can connect with people on a level of empathy and compassion. And I think that's why people resonate with me. When I was a college instructor, it was the same thing.
What a powerful story. Thank you so much for sharing that
You're
story
welcome.
with you. I can't imagine what it was like to have that dunce cap put on you. And you know what it does is it underlines how humiliations at whatever age, but particularly at a young age, can be so damaging to people long term. Christina
Yes.
White, I got to ask you. You say that you help others practice self-compassion. What is self-compassion?
Oh, where do I start? I did mention childhood trauma. Everybody has childhood trauma. And it doesn't matter how good of an upbringing you had growing up, you still have some. And so self-compassion is when you soothe yourself. So when you're going through adversity, you talk to yourself like you're talking to a little child, right? You sit down, and I go back to this sitting still. I think sitting still, you can call it meditation, praying, or being quiet with no distractions. It's such a powerful practice because that's where self-compassion actually starts. So there's two people that reside in everybody. There's that little child that's been wounded, and whatever problem they, if they weren't heard, they felt, they weren't loved or supported, it's never been resolved. So there's a little child in us that was hurt. And then there's this mature adult in us that can actually help that little child grow up into a more mature adult. So if we don't sit still and nurture that little child, the wound will be transferred to our adult relationships. Could be marriage, friendships, just people around you. So self-compassion is sitting with that inner child and holding that little child's hand. So when that child is triggered, that mature adult is always there to support that child and love that child. So that's self-compassion. So an example is, a lot of us, statistics say that every day we go through 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. And about 90% of those thoughts are negative. And I think 80%, we repeat them over and over again. So you're recycling negative thoughts every single day. So what happens is that you take that into reality. You're going to tell yourself you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not, whatever it may be. So self-compassion, I think, is very important. And I mentioned that, we have to create that solid foundation, and sitting still and practicing self-compassion is one of them. So
this has been really interesting, everyone. I really appreciate your ideas. We're going to take a final break and come back with some concluding comments in just 2 minutes. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My panel tonight is on, really, it's about transformational change. It's about setting New Year's resolutions, but we've talked about, Paul's mentioned, it can't be just at New Year's. It should be when you resolve, you've got to have a change. Laurel talked about you need to have the why, and Paul and Christine have talked about how that why's got to be stronger, and you've got to visualize where you're going. So it's been an interesting conversation with Christina Sengel, Laura Giacomides, Paul Nadeau, and Christina White. Paul, we've talked to everyone else. I got to ask you, fascinating resume as a former hostage negotiator and international peacekeeper. I think about that Viktor Frankl book about meaning in life for people that have sort of been hostages. When you're dealing with hostages and you're trying to ensure they're positive about the future, and I think about, the hostages in Gaza right now, how do you possibly get them excited about a vision for life?
No, that's a tough one. You got to remember that as a hostage negotiator, we're dealing with the hostage takers. All we can do really for the hostages is assure them that we are doing our utmost best in their best interest. And that's the thing, is that many people who are taken hostage, and we can take ourselves hostage, that's a whole new thing. But for me, as a hostage negotiator, I wanted to connect with the hostage taker to bring to them the possibility of some resolution. Again, we're going to use the word resolution that works for everyone, and in which the hostages could be released unharmed, as well as the hostage taker. I think our intent, and we talked about this, I think, Brian, you brought the word intent up first. And it's true. What is your intent? As a hostage negotiator, my intent is to make sure that everyone gets out alive, including the hostage taker. And I want to assure everyone who is involved in the drama, in the situation, that I am going to be there for them, whatever that requires. And I think that that's one of the keys, is that we assure people that we are there to support and help them. We have to do that to ourselves too, because we can take ourselves hostages by the narratives that we entertain in our minds. As Christina said, the loop over and over and over again, that negative talk needs to be challenged, and we need to release our inner hostage in order to do that for ourselves.
Release our inner hostage. That sounds like a great analogy for what we need to do in life to find that why and to resolve that we need a better future. I'm out of time. I apologize. We could go on for another hour or two. This has been a fascinating conversation. Christina Singal, Laura Giacomides, Paul Nadeau, Christina White, thank you all very much for joining me tonight. Hopefully this inspires some of our listeners to not set New Year's resolutions, Paul, but resolutions when they resolve, and then find the why, find the vision, and get going to just do it. Stay with us, everybody. We're on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online from anywhere in the world at www.saga960am.ca. All my podcasts and videocasts are available on my website, briancrombie.com. I post my podcasts on all the podcast servers, and my videos go on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Good night, everybody. You guys, this is fantastic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
We
Thanks for
appreciate
having
your
us.
time.